Hello and namaste. This is Sophie, and I'm back again with another exciting episode for you all for Access Education Network. So, I have a very special guest with me today. He is Nathan John Cooper. Welcome to Access Education Network.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, let's start with your brief introduction to our viewers.
Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. So I'm Nathan from the University of Waikato in New Zealand. I'm an associate professor of law there, so I'm an academic there, and I also am Associate Dean International, which means that I look after student recruitment and internationalisation of the university.
Okay, thank you so much. That was a short and a sweet introduction. So before starting, I want to know a brief background about your professional journey as well. So how did you get into this education industry?
Oh, great question. So I studied law at university as an undergraduate, originally in the UK. And then I sort of was kind of interested in law and legal practice, practiced for a couple of years, worked in a big firm in England, and then took some time out, travelled, and sort of thought, I'm not so sure I want to be a practicing lawyer for very much longer. So ended up coming back and doing PhD. And then from there, moved into my first lecturing position, lectured in the UK in a couple of different places. And then an opportunity came up at Waikato in New Zealand. And so I moved over there 8 years ago. And been there ever since, and really enjoyed myself.
Wow. Are you originally from New Zealand, or are you?
No, I'm from England. From
London. Okay. So what motivated you to go to New Zealand? What was that thing?
A few things. So there were some push and some pull factors. I was really taken with the first time that I visited New Zealand. I actually visited as a student and did some travelling and some backpacking and really loved the country. So I always kind of had that attraction to New Zealand. I think I just quite fancied a change from the UK. It was just after Brexit, and so the situation in the UK was not as easy as it had been for higher education. So a couple of things really, but I was really taken with the University of Waikato and with the Waikato region when I went out to visit as part of the recruitment process and the interview process. It's just a really lovely place to live and to work. Just a great place to be.
Yeah, so you would be the perfect person to talk about New Zealand then. So what is the major reasons for the students to come to New Zealand? What is that USPs to study in New Zealand?
Yeah, absolutely. I always say this when I'm speaking to students or when I'm speaking to recruiters or whatever. I do feel like I'm in a good position to say this because I've been on the other end. I've been somebody who's decided to emigrate to New Zealand and to make that change. And so I've kind of experienced those things from the outside coming into a new country and New Zealand specifically. So I would say there's a number of things that really stand out for living and studying or working in the country. The first thing is it's a really welcoming place to be. It's right from day one, it's a place where you, I think, are pretty much guaranteed a warm welcome. Everybody's pretty relaxed, pretty used to mixing and rubbing shoulders with people from a whole host of different cultures. So you've got people, particularly in the university context, you've got people on campus from 100 or more different countries. And so there's that aspect that's really attractive. Really kind of easy place to sort of integrate and feel at home. Safety wise, it's just really nice to be somewhere that you can relax and feel like you're safe and looked after. So that's a really important thing for students thinking about New Zealand, I think, just a safe and welcoming atmosphere and environment. The quality of life's really good. Life is lived outdoors a lot. So if that's your thing, then New Zealand's probably the best place in the world for outdoor living and outdoor kind of interactions. Lots of opportunity to get close to nature, to access nature really easily. You can get to the coast from where the university is based in 45 minutes or so. You can be in the mountains. You can ski a couple of hours down the road in the right season. So there's loads of opportunities in terms of that outward bound or outdoor sort of aspect of things. And as I say, in terms of additional aspects of quality of life, wages and minimum wage and everything is pretty good. There are good job opportunities and career opportunities. You've got some proximity to Australia, which obviously is a bigger market and economy as well. So really lots going on and lots of opportunities.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. So there's a very I want to ask you one question. Maybe this might be out of context, or yeah. So what is your best thing to do when you're free in New Zealand, personally?
Personally, swim in the river or swim in the sea.
Wow.
would be my personal bet. Yeah, or be outside. So trekking, walking. My family. I live with my family in New Zealand as well. So we try and do as much outdoors with the children as we can, and definitely fresh air and fresh water. Yeah.
Wow. Isn't it scary to swim on the river just like that?
No. So our local river's pretty safe and it's good.
And I heard this. I don't know. I'm not sure of it, but there's no insects or anything as such in New Zealand.
Oh no, I think that's a myth. There's plenty of insects. I think maybe unlike Australia, there's nothing that will really do you too much harm. So you don't have those scary, lethal snakes, spiders, those sorts of things.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a very good work-life balance as well in New Zealand. So how does that work? The work-life balance.
Well, it does what it says, really. I think, of course, people work hard, and many jobs and many careers will require that you work, diligently and hard. But there really is a good sense of boundaries I've found. So weekends typically are, their time to rest and relax. There's seldom an expectation that you're sort of working too long hours. I think people generally have got the balance right. So that means you can put in the hours, you can work hard, but you can do that within some limits, and there's also plenty of time for free time.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So moving forward with the University of Waikato. So can you please tell us more about the University of Waikato and how's the facilities there, what students can get, and why should students choose to study in University of Waikato?
Okay. So the University of Waikato is one of 8 universities in the country. It's I think it's about 70 years old or so now, and there's about 13,000 students in total, including a couple of thousand international students, and they really are from all over the place, all over the world, which is wonderful. It's based in 2 cities in New Zealand. Its larger campus is in the city of Hamilton, and it has a smaller growing campus in the city of Tauranga as well, on the coast of the Bay of Plenty. So immediately there's a choice for students. Do you want to be in the Hamilton campus context, which is a sort of leafy green campus on the edge of the city, or do you want to be right in the heart of a city on the coast at Tauranga? So that's a great sort of option that you have, or a couple of options that you have as a student coming in. And Waikato, I always say that Waikato's, for me, it's like the Goldilocks University. I don't know if you're familiar with that story, but you've got the porridge that's kind of too hot and too cold, and then the porridge that's just right, or the chair that's too hard, and the chair that's too soft, and the chair that's just right. For me, Waikato's the right size. It's not too big a university, because universities that are very big have their own problems and issues. It's easy to get lost in them. It's easy not to be noticed. it's difficult to access your professors and your tutors, the people who teach you, because there's just so many people around. And on the other side of things, a university that's too small, you probably don't have the opportunities. So Waikato is just right plumb in the middle. It's a big enough university to really offer all of the things that you could imagine for a university. It's small enough to really feel noticed. It's small enough to be able to access the people who teach you, to get to know the peers and people who you're studying alongside with as well. So really great size and lots of opportunities. You mentioned about campus facilities, for instance. So both campuses are slightly different, but on the larger campus at Hamilton, there's really all of the facilities that you'd expect of a good university. So we have really state-of-the-art teaching and lecturing and lab facilities across different disciplines. We have most of the subject areas that you would expect in a university. The one thing that for a while has been missing is a medical school, but we're actually building a medical school at the moment, and that will open in 2028, so that's very exciting. Great facilities from an academic point of view, but also from a recreational point of view as well. We have a gym, we have a really lovely library space, we've got lots of places to eat and drink and relax, lots of accommodation options for students that are on campus in different configurations, catered and self-catered, and also really easy access to the wider city for other accommodation options.
From the accommodation to the university, how can a student commute? What is the mode of transportation?
Well, for students who like to live and work on campus, we're really talking about a walk of a few minutes. So there's no need for cars, there's no need to get on the bus. It really is a very easy and quick way to commute. But even for students who maybe live a little bit further afield, they share a flat or they live with a host family, again, often that's in walking distance, or it might be a short bus ride. Public transport in New Zealand within the cities is quite good, and so again, there's very little need to have your own transport.
Okay, so the most used public transportation is a bus?
Yes, absolutely. Within both Hamilton and Tauranga, we have a good train system that links the city of Hamilton to Auckland, which is the biggest city. So you can get into the CBD of Auckland within a couple of hours from Hamilton on a really nice new train. So that means, if you want to go up and see what Auckland has to offer for a weekend or for a day, you can do that, but you still get the benefit of living in Hamilton or in Tauranga.
Thank you so much. So talking about, we've covered the facilities and everything. That sounds quite exciting for the students. And talking about the gym and the recreational activities that they can do in a university as a students, I think that's what attracts most of the international students. And talking more about the faculty. So you coming from law and the other faculties, can you please elaborate on that? Like, what sort of departments do you look at in University of Waikato?
Absolutely, yeah. So, as I said before, it's a comprehensive university, so there's pretty much every subject that you would expect from most universities, and I'm based within the law faculty. The law faculty itself is based, without getting too technical, is based within a bigger structure called a division, where we sit alongside the arts. So humanities subjects and the arts, social sciences, psychology, as well as law. And then there are other divisions as well. So you've got your health-related disciplines, you've got your science, engineering, technology sort of related disciplines, you've got education, and then you've also got Māori and Indigenous studies as well. So Māori are the indigenous population in New Zealand, and the University of Waikato is really committed to pursuing what we describe as a bicultural approach to education. In that respect, the University of Waikato is unique in amongst New Zealand universities because the land on which the University of Waikato sits is actually actually Maori land. So there's right from the beginning of the establishment of the university, there's been a very close and productive relationship between the local Maori community, or iwi, and the university.
Okay, and talking about the Faculty of Law, so how does it work? Like, how does their week look like, or how does their day look like? How many classes are there in a week? So
great question. So it depends a little bit about whether a student, for instance, is studying law as an undergraduate, so there's their first degree, or postgraduately maybe as a master's student. But typically students would have perhaps sort of 8 to 10 or so hours of contact. That might be lectures, it might be some tutorials, might be some workshops, those sorts of things. And then the remainder of their full-time study is really about the work that they do themselves. So particularly law is a very a subject that's very heavy on reading and individual study. So you get a lot of reading that you have to get through, a lot of cases and a lot of journal articles and things like that you have to read and digest. So around about 20 or so hours in a week would be devoted to that sort of work individually, or often students get together and form study groups and work together in groups, and then the rest of that time would be the more formal contact time. For master's students, it's even more independently directed in terms of the amount of work that's expected for you to do individually, but also we have those really important points of connection in the week through tutorials, through seminars, through smaller group places to learn.
So do we have any exams there?
So as an undergraduate in New Zealand studying law, then yes, you do have exams. Our legal education system is governed by a governing body, and their current position is that they do require exams for what they describe as the core subjects for law. So your kind of traditional areas of law that every law student would study, so your criminal law, contracts, torts, public law, these sorts of things. So they all would have an exam at the end of them. Beyond that, though, for optional subjects and also into postgraduate study, master's degree, etc., no exams.
No exams.
And I know other subjects are moving away from exams as well. Yeah.
So it's basically more focused on the project or the research?
Often project work,
yes.
Often extended research project, for instance, assignments. But we're also quite creative in terms of moving beyond just the written assignment as well. So increasingly we encourage students to take the opportunity to do things like we're doing, to have that sort of oral opportunity to be assessed through presentation or through a viva, that sort of thing. So a variety of different assessment means, rather than exams.
Yeah. So we get this question quite frequently from the students. They're very curious about how actually we study there. Is it similar to Nepal, or is it like we have to do the assignments through the portal or anything as such? So, and how many days do we have to go for the classes? And that sort of question we get a lot from the students, and so it's my privilege to actually sit down with you and talk about the faculty, like what actually it happens in the class. Yeah. So just wanted to know that. Yeah. How many days do we have the classes in the University of Waikato?
Well, teaching happens 5 days a week. Typically there's nothing on it at the weekends, although occasionally there'll be an event at the weekends, but it's usually Monday to Friday, and it's usually broadly within kind of business hours. We are aware that many of our students are actually studying with us whilst also doing some work, and so we do try to be flexible in terms of putting things on opportunities maybe earlier in the morning, later in the evening, so that people who are working in an office environment or whatever can still access some of that learning. But yeah, it tends to be five days a week. In terms of sort of what a typical student's week might look like, obviously that's a little bit difficult to sort of preempt because people are doing different things. But what I would say is that I think at Waikato what we're very good at doing is providing support for students. So one of the key things that a new student coming into the university will find is they have an opportunity to sit down with a student advisor and to go through a individual program of study so that they can fit together all the things they need to do, but that also they can get some guidance around the choices that they can make so that they can put together something that's going to work for them.
And also, like, I wanted to talk about the portal, the student portal of University of Waikato, as we have few of the students from University of Waikato already. So we got a very positive feedback from them. So what he mentioned about the portal was they're constantly updating about the enrollments, about the class schedule, about the new sessions that's happening, new events that's happening, and also about the scholarship that they can apply for. So these were the notification they were getting into their emails, and that's quite a good thing for students to update themselves with what is happening in the university. So I think I wanted to mention that as well. I think student portal usually makes a lot of difference for the student to interact with the university and know about the university.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, that's great feedback.
Yes.
Thank you. And really good to hear that that's been so positively received. It's been a place that the university's invested a lot of thought and a lot of resource in over the last few years, and so to hear that that's working well is great. We can always continue to improve, and we keep doing that as well. But I think as students transition from being in a position of applying and then dealing with things like offers and scholarships to actually studying with us, hopefully they'll also have a positive experience in terms of the learning platform that we use in order to help with teaching and learning as well. And that's another area that we're really investing in and thinking hard about.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much about mentioning that, and also like I'm very happy to share that whatever the feedback that I have received from the students, and talking more about the opportunities about the faculty. Like, do the faculty help the students to get the jobs and to find the jobs there, and how does that work?
Okay, so that really plays out in a number of ways. First of all, right from day one of a student's study with us, and I'm talking particularly about the law faculty now because it's the place that I know best, but I'm sure that other things that are very similar are going on in other faculties and schools as well. But right from day one, we do really make an effort to encourage students to reach out and connect with staff members, the people who are teaching them, the people who are tutoring them. And that is really, really important for students because many staff have been working either overlapping academia and legal practice for a long time, so they've got lots of experience, often got lots of connection with the legal profession, for instance, or the wider professional community. So if students can get to know their lecturers, their professors, their tutors, then that's a really great point of entry for making those connections and for opening up doors in the future. The other thing is you get the opportunity to end up getting a really good reference from your academic staff members because we know who you are, and we know we can confidently say good things about you. So I'd always encourage students to really be proactive about go knock on the professor's door. My colleagues really always adopt this idea of an open door policy. So, unless there's a really good reason, if a student turns up and we're able to sit down with them and chat, then that's what we will do. We will prioritise that. So that's kind of an entry point, a first port of call that really lays the foundations for things like looking for work in the future and making those connections. A little bit more concrete in terms of job opportunities. Because we've got good connections with the legal profession and the broader professional context in the City of Hamilton, the City of Tauranga and the region, we have regular careers fairs and points of connection with industry. We have regular guest lectures and public lectures and talks where members of the judiciary, where practicing lawyers, etc., come onto campus, speak to us, speak to students, speak to the public. And each of those events is really important in terms of a place where you can just get to know somebody, connect, share a LinkedIn connection or whatever, and then you can take those things further in due course. So they're kind of dotted around the year in any given year. And again, I'd always encourage students to make the most of those things. So look and be proactive. Now, staff rarely will be able to give a student a job, but it's much more about giving them the tools to be able to be in the best position to apply for a job, and also, where possible, to give those connections, those little places where the door is open for them, or the door is opening for them. So I think that's really important. And then again, very concretely, the university at a general level has really prioritised the support that we give to students around careers and employability. So we have a careers team, we have dedicated careers advisors for international students specifically, and students are able to get really expert advice on CV writing, how to write a cover letter, how to get an interview, and then how to perform in an interview. So we do, they have opportunities to do mock interviews and these sorts of things. That provision, that support is available to students not just when they're studying, but for up to 2 years after they've finished their studies as well. So if a student comes to us for a master's degree, for instance, finishes that with us, and then is actively looking for full-time work, you've still got that support from the university for a further 2 years.
Yeah. True, very true. I think students are also looking for the guidance, not just getting them a job, but the guidance, the proper guidance to move forward stepwise. Like, they're also eager to learn new things. They're open to the guidance as well, I guess. Yeah, I think that's a very good thing that you've mentioned. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask about a few of the things in regards to the internship opportunities in the law faculty. So how does it work? So do we get to do that in the different legal offices? I don't know. What do we say that? The firm, the legal firm. So do we get that to do?
Absolutely. So. The first thing to say is that, just a little bit like the conversation around jobs, that the first responsibility is with students. Okay, so at the end of the day, it's your life, it's your career, it's your study, so it's for you to make the first move. So nobody's going to come and just give you an internship, but we will be able to support you and give you the guidance towards being able to take that sort of opportunity in due course. So many of our students will do a program of internship with a law firm, for instance, or even with the courts. Or even will spend time with a judge or a barrister. And so they can do that by using the connections that they've made. They can also get some credit for that back into their studies by using the structures that we've put in place that reward students for being able to find and complete an internship. So we have a program called Work Integrated Learning. So students that have got that opportunity, they can then connect the practical experience they're getting and then write that up and get some academic credit as well as part of their studies. We also are regularly updating the opportunities students have for things like pupilages, mini placements, work experience, clerkships. There's a whole variety of law-related, essentially, internships that are smaller or bigger in size, and firms will advertise those. And because we've got a good relationship with firms, we get to know about those things quite easily, and we make sure that students know about them as well. And I would just add that it's not just the academic staff that are helping support in this way, it's also the student associations, and we have a number of student associations both generally but also specific to law. We have a number of law student associations, and again, I'd always encourage students to get to know what those associations are, to choose at least one and get stuck in and get involved with that, because it's a wonderful way to build experience, make connections, put something really positive on your CV, and then also benefit from what those associations do.
Yeah, thank you so much. So students need to mention about their build a connection into the personal level and get to know them, build a PR. Yep, I think that's how they're going to crack the.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
that's right. And it's not to do down the importance of the academic study, of getting the best grades that you can, but we all know that in addition to that, it is often a situation where it's the connections that you've made, it's the people that you know, and the doors that can open as a result of that.
I want to also know about how to become a practitioner, the law practitioner or lawyer. What do we say that after we complete the master's or the undergrad? Do our students get the license, or there's a different process for it? How does that work?
Certainly, so I can lay out the process for becoming a practicing lawyer in New Zealand. The first thing to do is you need to do an undergraduate law degree. Okay, now that will be an LLB degree, Bachelor of Laws degree, and it can be from any of the New Zealand law schools, or it can be an LLB from overseas. Okay. So wherever it's from, you need to have completed the LLB. Now, if it's from a New Zealand university, then that LLB is already designed to meet the requirements of the governing body that I mentioned, Council of Legal Education. And so you are already nearly at the point where you can apply for a practicing certificate. If your LLB is from outside of New Zealand, then what you need to do is you need to go through an assessment. You need to get your degree assessed by that same governing body, and the outcome of that assessment will be that the Council of Legal Education tells a student individually what they need to do next, what additional study they need to do in order to put their existing LLB degree on a par with the New Zealand LLB degree. Okay. Now, depending on what that is that they're asked to do, a student from overseas may be able to do that within a graduate diploma. They may be able to do that within individual paper credits. But they need to complete what it is that the Council of Legal Education has told them to do. At that point, everybody, domestic students, international students, they need to complete what's referred to as the PROFs, or the Professional Legal Studies course. Now that's a fairly short course. It's typically about 5 months if you study it full time, and that is quite a practically focused course, helping you to develop the practical skills around working as a lawyer. So it's less academic, it's more practical. Once you've finished your LLB, your PROFs, then you can apply for a practicing certificate, and once that has been given to you, you can work as a barrister and solicitor of the High Court of New Zealand. So in New Zealand, unlike a lot of jurisdictions, being a barrister or an advocate and being a solicitor are actually overlapping and kind of one and the same. Now, what that route doesn't include is a Master of Laws degree. The Master of Laws degree in New Zealand is an academic degree, so it does not give you a practicing opportunity to practice. Instead, a lot of students will use it for two main reasons. One will be that, for instance, they've already have a practicing certificate, they're already working in a firm, and they use the Master of Laws as an opportunity to specialise, to go deep into a particular area of law, maybe to become, with a view to becoming the expert in their firm on environmental law or climate change law or tax law or whatever, rather than staying at the level of being a generalist. So that's what we see. Students will often come to us at that kind of early to midpoint career in order to specialise. The other cohort of students that takes an LLM or a Master of Laws is students who have got an LLB already, maybe from an overseas jurisdiction, so maybe they're an international student, and they're really interested in building on that law education, and they want to open doors around law-related jobs. So things that link to law, things that use law but not requiring a practicing certificate. So jobs where you're not representing a client, but you're still working in that area of law. So just a couple of examples of what that might mean, law-related jobs, and thinking about recent student experience and recent graduates. These are jobs like, for instance, working as a registrar in a court, so the registry office in a court, working for the Ministry of Justice, for instance, in Department of Corrections or the Probation Service, working in terms of law regulation and law reform, so that might be things like the Law Society or the Law Commission, and academia, so moving from learning about the law to being involved in teaching of the law. So again, all recent graduates have moved into all of those different areas. So the LLM or the Master of Laws is really attractive if you've got a law background, if you're really interested in building on that background rather than moving into a different discipline, and if you want to open doors into law-related work, then that's certainly something to consider.
Yeah, well, that's I think that has made a lot of students clear about their future perspective. If they've built already a good bachelor's degree here in Nepal from law, then they have a good picture out that okay, LLM would be the better one, or how we can take this further, and we have to do the assessment. So I think you made it quite clear to our students.
Well, I hope so, because it's not necessarily the most intuitive or the most clear route, and it's really important always for students to get as much clarity as you can. And I would say there is another route available for students who've taken an undergraduate degree that is not law. If you're interested then in doing postgraduate study in law, there is a Master of Legal Studies as well.
Okay.
Usually that's a slightly longer degree than the LLM. It's usually a year and a half worth of study rather than a year, but it's specifically there so that non-law students can transition into law-related study and then into law-related jobs. And if you think about it, for a lot of degrees maybe that have touched on things like business or maybe politics or economics, to then be able to layer over some opportunities around law and the connections between business and law, or between economics and law, finance and law, politics and law, international relations and law. There are all of these points of connection that the Master of Legal Studies can help really tease out, and that can be quite a strong combination.
Oh, so any faculty, from any background, that they can study from legal studies,
Master of Legal Studies, that's right.
Master of Legal Studies, well, that's interesting. Yeah. And so what is the academic requirement, or is there any specific academic requirement or IELTS PTA requirement for the students overseas, international students?
Yes, there is. So those requirements will differ in terms of the different programs of study. Again, speaking specifically about law, we require a equivalent GPA of a B, and IELTS, I think 6.5, no band less than 6. Yeah.
The standard. Okay, so thank you so much for mentioning a lot of things about the law faculty, the university, the New Zealand as a whole, as you coming to New Zealand and sharing your journey as well. So do you have anything to our students at last? Any message to our students?
Well, I would say a few things. I've got a general message that I would strongly encourage you to think deeply about next steps in New Zealand. New Zealand is a wonderful place, and I would say within New Zealand, the University of Waikato is particularly attractive and particularly fits the bill for international students. We are well placed to give you a really great experience, and well placed for you to really enjoy your time at the University of Waikato, so think carefully about that. I'd also say do your homework in terms of the particular routes of study that you're looking to choose. If you look to study overseas, obviously you're making a big decision, a big commitment, and so you need to make sure that you are clear about, for instance, the career opportunities that will connect to the thing that you're studying. And then I think just on the back of what I mentioned around the Master of Legal Studies, I would just encourage students to think about the opportunities open to them, not just in the area of study that you've already completed, but also to look and do your research on what opportunities there are to move between disciplines or between areas of study. So at Waikato we have a number of what we refer to as conversion degrees or conversion master's degrees, which are there specifically to allow students who've maybe done one lot of undergraduate study in one area not to feel trapped in that area, but to be able to move from that area into something else. So I mentioned the Master of Legal Studies that allows somebody with a non-law background to move into law, but we also have similar conversion opportunities around, for instance, environmental planning with our Master of Environmental Planning, with media and creative technologies, with psychology through the MA Psychology, and a number of others as well. So have a think about what it is that you've already studied, whether or not that is what you want to build on and continue in, and if not, then think a little bit broader and see how you may be able to use some of those conversion opportunities.
Yeah, thank you so much for this wonderful message to our students, and also giving the different perspective about the conversion courses that you can do. And I think it gives a bigger, wider perspective for the students, that they can go to the different fields, that they can actually explore onto the other fields if they have the interest onto exploring other fields.
Yeah.
So I think thank you so much for your wonderful message to our students and your time at Access Education Network. And thank you for coming to Nepal as well, visiting us.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for your time. Thanks for the opportunity and the invitation. I wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you're leaving tomorrow?
I leave tomorrow. That's it. I move on to India for a little while.
Yeah. Okay, so next time when you come to Nepal, please come for a longer time.
I very much hope so. I'm looking forward to being here for much longer.
We would love to host you a wonderful dinner and try out different Nepalese cuisine.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time, and hope to see you soon, probably in 2026 itself, for our event coming up.
Fantastic.
In August probably, so we'll send you the message and we can get connected as well.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for watching this video, and I'll be back again with another episode and another special guest. So yeah, see you in another video. Bye bye and namaste.
Namaste.